Today's episode of Saltwater Stories is brought to you by Printable Pages, your go-to site for fun printables for kids like me. Whether you're looking for coloring pages, activity sheets, or puzzles, Printable Pages has you covered. Explore their amazing collection and spark creativity in your little ones with engaging content designed for all ages. Visit printablepages.org to discover your next family-friendly printable. Now, let's dive into the ocean with today's episode of Saltwater Stories.
Ever wonder what happens where the rivers meet the sea?
Yeah.
It's not just a blending of water, it's like a whole hidden world,
Right.
And that's what we're diving into today. Estuaries.
Yeah.
These often overlooked ecosystems that are like bursting with life and, surprisingly, super important to all of us.
Yeah, and you know what's really fascinating about estuaries is that it's not like a static blend. It's constantly in motion. So just imagine, like, twice a day, the ocean floods in with salt water, and then it retreats and lets the river kind of reclaim its space.
Right.
And this push and pull creates this uniquely dynamic environment.
So it's like a dance between fresh water and salt water, creating these zones within zones. But I mean, estuaries are more than just like cool ecological oddities, right? Why should we care about them?
Yeah, you're totally right. They're very often overlooked. But they're essential for, I'd say, three primary reasons. They're nurseries of the sea.
Okay.
They act as natural buffers against storms.
Oh.
And believe it or not, they act as like giant natural water filters.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll admit I hadn't thought about their importance before, but tell me more about this whole nursery idea.
Yeah.
What makes them so vital for ocean life?
Okay. So picture this. A whopping 85% of commercially important fish species spend at least part of their lives in estuaries.
Wow.
So the salmon on your dinner plate, the shrimp in your scampi,
Okay.
they all depend on these brackish waters for refuge and sustenance, especially in their, early stages.
85%, that's huge.
It's a lot, yeah.
So damaging these ecosystems could directly impact the seafood we enjoy. But you also mentioned something about storm protection. How do estuaries act as buffers?
So think of estuaries and the wetlands surrounding them, like your salt marshes and mangrove forests as giant sponges.
Okay.
When a storm surge hits or heavy rains pound the coast, these ecosystems absorb that excess water, lessening the impact on inland communities.
Wow.
They literally soak up the energy of the storm.
So they're like natural insurance policies against like the wrath of Mother Nature.
Exactly.
And this protection comes free of charge, no deductible required.
Exactly.
But then there's this whole water filtration thing. How do estuaries manage that?
So as rivers flow toward the ocean, they pick up pollutants along the way, agricultural runoff, you name it. But here's where estuaries step in with their incredible filtering capabilities. The plants, the mud, the very bacteria within an estuary, they all work together to trap and process these pollutants, preventing them from reaching the open ocean.
This is like a giant natural Brita filter for the planet.
Exactly.
So estuaries are these incredible multitaskers, protecting wildlife, shielding us from harm, and even cleaning up our messes.
Yeah, they're amazing.
But what kind of creatures can handle living in a place where the rules change with every tide?
Oh, you are in for a treat.
Okay.
Imagine we're wading into an estuary right now.
Okay.
You might encounter a mighty salmon, a creature that makes an epic journey from freshwater to the ocean and back again, relying on estuaries as those crucial pit stops along the way.
Salmon are incredible. Their migrations are the stuff of legend.
I know.
To think they depend on these delicate ecosystems for survival is mind-blowing. What other tough customers have what it takes to make it in this ever-changing environment?
Picture the humble blue crab,
Okay.
a delicacy on many a dinner plate,
Right.
but also a master of osmoregulation.
Osmoregulation.
Yeah, so they've evolved this biological balancing act, tweaking their internal salt levels to match the water around them.
Osmoregulation is like they have a superpower. They can just like hang out in the estuary,
Yeah.
adjusting to the changes as they come.
Precisely. This adaptation allows them to move freely between that fresher upper estuary and then that saltier lower estuary, taking advantage of all the different resources and habitats.
Talk about making the most of your environment.
Even
But estuaries aren't just for the fish and crabs, right?
Yeah.
What about bird watchers like myself?
No, yeah.
Are these good places to spot our feathered friends?
If we kind of connect this to the bigger picture, estuaries are like bustling rest stops on a global migration highway.
Wow.
Birds, especially those traveling long distances, depend on these nutrient-rich areas to refuel during their journeys.
So we're talking about more than just a few seagulls hanging around.
Oh, yeah.
Which birds should we be looking out for if we're lucky enough to visit an estuary?
You might spot ospreys soaring overhead, their keen eyes scanning for fish, or herons wading gracefully in the shallows.
Nice.
And keep an eye out for egrets, with their elegant white plumage often found in large flocks.
It's amazing to think that a little estuary could be a crucial link in the journey of a bird traveling thousands of miles. That really highlights their global importance. Are there any other notable residents we should know about? I've heard whispers about some pretty cool trees.
Ah, you must be thinking of mangroves.
Mangroves, okay.
These are no ordinary trees. Imagine this. Their roots grow directly into the salt water, forming these tangled, intricate networks that act as both anchors against erosion and nurseries for countless fish species.
Now, those are some tough trees. I've read that mangroves aren't just cool to look at. They're also, like, climate change fighting superstars.
They are.
What makes them so special?
What's mind-blowing here is that mangroves are incredible carbon sinks, even more efficient than rainforests at absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. They're quietly working behind the scenes, cleaning our air and battling climate change, all while providing a home for an incredible array of creatures.
So we've got these dynamic, life-giving, storm buffering, water filtering, carbon capturing estuaries. It all sounds almost too good to be true.
Right.
But there's a catch, isn't there? What kinds of threats do these ecosystems face?
Yeah, you're right. It's not all sunshine and roses for estuaries.
Right.
As with so many vital ecosystems, they're facing a lot of increasing threats, largely due to us, human activities,
Right.
pollution, coastal development, climate change. These all cast a shadow over their future.
Okay, so let's dive into those threats. Pollution is a big one, but we're talking about more than just like plastic bottles ending up in the water, right? What else is like winding up in these delicate ecosystems?
So estuaries are positioned where rivers meet the sea, which unfortunately makes them these collecting points for anything and everything that washes downstream.
Right.
Agricultural runoff, industrial waste, sewage. It's a real cocktail of contaminants.
Let's break that down a bit. What exactly is in agricultural runoff, and how does it impact estuaries?
So when we think about agricultural runoff, fertilizers often come to mind, and for good reason.
Right.
The excess nitrogen and phosphorus from these fertilizers, intended to help crops grow, wash into rivers and streams during rains, eventually making their way into estuaries.
And we talked earlier about how these excess nutrients, like, mess up the balance of estuarine ecosystems, right? It's like they overload the system.
Exactly. Picture this. Fertilizer runoff acts like an energy drink for algae, causing massive blooms that choke the estuary, blocking sunlight and depleting the water of oxygen. This creates what are known as dead zones, areas where marine life really struggles to survive.
Dead zones. That sounds ominous. Are we talking about large areas being affected by this?
Sadly, yes. One of the most alarming examples is the Gulf of Mexico, where a massive dead zone forms every summer due to nutrient pollution flowing from the Mississippi River.
Wow.
It's a stark reminder that even something as seemingly harmless as fertilizer can have really devastating consequences.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that like seemingly small actions, like what we put on our lawns, can have a much wider impact. But it's not just fertilizers causing problems, right? What about industrial waste? What kind of impact does that have on estuaries?
Yeah, industrial waste brings a whole other set of pollutants to the table. Heavy metals, chemicals, manufacturing byproducts.
Oh, wow.
And unlike some pollutants that break down quickly, many of these industrial contaminants stick around for decades, accumulating in sediments and posing a long-term threat to estuarine life.
It's like we're slowly poisoning these vital ecosystems with our waste. It feels like a never-ending cycle of damage.
It's a serious issue, but I think awareness is key.
Yeah.
The more we understand the problem, the better equipped we are to find solutions.
So we've covered pollution from agriculture and industry. But you also mentioned sewage. I have to admit, that's not something I typically picture when I think about these like beautiful natural harbors.
Right. That's an unfortunate reality.
All right.
In many parts of the world, untreated or poorly treated sewage makes its way into rivers and streams, flowing right into estuaries. This sewage carries bacteria, viruses, and pathogens that can contaminate shellfish, making them unsafe to eat.
Yeah, it's unsettling, but it's a good reminder that something we often take for granted, like sewage treatment, plays a critical role in protecting these ecosystems.
Definitely.
It's all connected.
You're right. It's all connected. And that brings us to another major threat to estuaries, and that is coastal development. As human populations grow, so does the demand for coastal property, which often comes at the expense of these vital habitats.
Yeah.
We build houses, marinas, resorts right up to the water's edge.
It's like we're squeezing ourselves into their space, displacing the very creatures that depend on these areas for survival.
Right.
And it's not just the physical space we take up that's a problem, is it?
You've hit the nail on the head. When we build in and around estuaries, we disrupt the natural flow of water, which changes that delicate balance of salinity that these ecosystems need to thrive.
Right.
These alterations can have huge effects on everything from where different species live to the overall health and productivity of the estuary.
It's like we're playing a dangerous game of Jenga, pulling out blocks without realizing the whole thing could collapse. And then there's climate change to contend with. What kind of impact is that having on estuaries?
So climate change is a major threat to estuaries, primarily through rising sea levels and ocean acidification. As global temperatures climb, sea levels rise, putting low-lying estuarine habitats at risk of being, swallowed by the sea.
So the water is getting warmer and physically rising to engulf these ecosystems. That's a double whammy.
It is, and then there's ocean acidification. As we pump more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, the ocean absorbs a good chunk of it.
Right.
This absorption causes the ocean's pH to drop, making it more acidic.
It's like we're slowly turning the ocean into a giant glass of acidic water. Not exactly a recipe for a healthy ecosystem.
Exactly. This increased acidity makes it harder for organisms like oysters, clams, and corals to build their shells and skeletons, which are made of calcium carbonate. And since estuaries are already grappling with, pollution, habitat loss, and other stressors, they're especially vulnerable to the added burden of ocean acidification.
It's a lot to take in. Pollution, development, climate change. It feels like estuaries are facing an uphill battle on all fronts. Is there any good news? What can we do to protect these, incredibly important ecosystems? You're right, the challenges they are daunting.
Right.
But it's not a lost cause, right? We have the power to make a difference. What can we do to, turn the tide for estuaries?
Well, it starts with understanding that even small actions, multiplied by millions of people, can have a huge impact. We can all play a role in protecting these vital ecosystems.
Okay, I like the sound of that. So what are some of these small but mighty actions we can take?
Well, first and foremost, we need to, lessen our own impact on these ecosystems.
Okay.
That means shrinking our carbon footprint, minimizing pollution, and making more sustainable choices in our daily lives.
So simple things like driving less, conserving water, and thinking twice before buying something new can actually make a difference.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps.
Okay.
And we can't forget about the power of our wallets.
Right.
Supporting businesses that prioritize sustainability and eco-friendly practices sends a really strong message.
Right. Voting with our dollars, so to speak.
Exactly.
But individual actions are only part of the equation, right?
Right.
What about tackling these issues on a larger scale?
Yeah, you're right. We need systems-level change. We have to advocate for policies that protect our waterways, support sustainable development, and address climate change head-on.
It's about making our voices heard both through our individual actions and by, demanding change from our leaders.
Exactly, and never underestimate the power of knowledge. The more people understand the importance of estuaries, the more likely we are to see a groundswell of support for their protection.
So tell everyone you know about these amazing ecosystems. Share the wonders of estuaries and the threats they face. It sounds like we can all be ambassadors for these hidden worlds.
Precisely. Every conversation, every bit of information shared can plant a seed and inspire action.
Well said. On that hopeful note, it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of estuaries. We've explored their unique characteristics, we've marveled at the creatures that call them home, and we've confronted the threats they face. But most importantly, we've learned that we can all be part of the solution.
It's been a pleasure joining you on this journey of discovery.
It's been great having you.
Remember, even if you're, miles from a coast, the choices we make every day ripple out and affect these incredible ecosystems.
So true. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep protecting the hidden wonders of our planet.